Well, the recent rating by global rating agency Moody's shows that Kenya has maintained a junk rating of Caa1, which shows that the country's credit risk remains very high, with potential for default or at risk of imminent default. And although Moody's has classified Kenya's outlook as positive, the agency notes that if the government sustains a more effective management of social demand and fiscal consolidation, this would boost Kenya's access to both concessional and commercial external funding. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
Kenya's ability to access concessional and commercial financing at better rates from the international market lies squarely on the government's ability to sustain an effective fiscal consolidation. This is the verdict of global rating agency Moody's, which has placed Kenya at very high credit risk, with potential for default and its junk rating of the country at Caa1. Although the agency has expressed optimism with the country's outlook based on the increasing livelihood of Kenya's liquidity risk easing and debt affordability improving over time, as well as the decline in domestic financing costs amid monetary easing. The agency notes that this can only be achieved if the government sustains a more effective management of social demand and fiscal consolidation, contrary to expression that the positive outlook assessment implies that the economy is doing better.
Basically tells us that there's still some vulnerabilities out there that needs to be addressed. So where Moody's is coming from, obviously they are not looking per se as to the economic fundamentals. They're just looking at the ability of the government to be able to meet its debt obligations as it comes due.
I wouldn't say that something has changed remarkably in our situation that would lead anyone to think that we have improved in terms of the overall circumstance. We have surpassed various, what are they called, thresholds, whether it's debt to GDP ratio or whatever that ceiling that they're trying to do.
With interest payment consuming a disproportionate share of government revenue, experts warn that the country may struggle under the weight of very weak debt affordability. The revelations coming at a time when Treasury bill yields have dropped from 16% to 10% since May 2024, reflecting monetary easing and increased investor confidence in the local bond market.
The carrying capacity for debt in our country right now is very low. Using our own thresholds, when you look at the debt we have accumulated as a proportion of our GDP, it's already high. I think it's about 55% going towards 60. So looking at our economy as it is and where we generate income and projecting moving forward, the carrying capacity is not going to change much.
So it's one thing accumulating your debt in a sustainable way. It's another thing now accumulating your debt, but now the debt servicing becomes more costlier. So it's a delicate balancing act that we're still keeping an eye on how the government will maneuver it.
High levels of corruption, weak institutional framework, and policy unpredictability have also been cited for creating a difficult environment for fiscal discipline. Additionally, the widespread poverty and unemployment, which in turn creates social instability, further limiting the government's fiscal bandwidth. However, the experts have expressed skepticism that global rating agencies may not paint the clearest picture of a country's risks, particularly in the global south. According to economic analysts, a positive outlook from global rating firm Moody's could mean nothing for the country if the fundamentals of the economy remain the same. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.